Great, thank you. And I will be brief. I'm going to give a really quick overview of the model and then talk about the different resources we've used to support online computing, both before COVID and now some of the adaptations since many of us are online. Basically, the Passion-Driven Statistics project started out of what I'm sure you guys have as well, is this sort of need for lots of statistics seats. So many majors require statistics. At Wesleyan, where I was teaching, we had economics statistics courses, psychology statistics courses, mathematics statistics courses, and we still didn't have nearly enough seats for everybody who needed and wanted to take statistics. So we developed this curriculum. And we didn't want to go in this direction, right? Oftentimes when you need a lot more seats, you end up sticking everybody in a lecture hall and wishing them well, which does not bode well for computing or for giving support to computing. So we went in a different direction. And just to give you a sense, the model has been used in introductory statistics courses. It's been used in research methods courses across many different disciplines. It's been used even in higher level statistics courses as well. And basically it's just a project-based model where you would cover the content you would cover in a more traditional course, but you do it in the service of student projects. So the kind of model of inquiry is that students select a research question from existing data, and we provide lots of different opportunities for previously collected data. They examine frequency distributions for their variables that they've chosen. We do a lot of data management, which is really important, obviously, piece of working with data, but it's often skipped in traditional statistics courses. You know, they graph one variable at a time, they graph relationships, we just sort of build into inference and into multivariate models in a very similar way that a traditional course would do it, but through their projects and in the service of the questions that they're trying to answer. And we do this, and even some multivariates at the end, on a real need-to-know basis. So we do it just in time when they need to know it, and then we move on to the next thing. It's a very exciting way to teach in the sense that when students have their own questions, they're often asking me to teach them things. So if we're starting to teach ANOVA and they have two categorical variables they're looking at, they want to know what test they should use. And so that's a fun part of it. We have them do a poster presentation at the end. So this kind of, in all the different weeks that we're working on this, it sort of puts into place the different parts of their poster presentation. And we actually do oral exams at the end based on their presentations. So in terms of computing, obviously you cannot do this without software. And so we have been really supportive and agnostic about whatever people want to use. When we started this, we were in a room with different faculty. And of course, we all thought that the most important software that should be used was the one that each of us knew, which was different. And so, I realized in that very moment, we are going to need to support all the different software, or this is going to become the R course or the SAS course, or the, as you know, at many universities, people, don't know if their ideas and what they know and their skills are going to be included. And if they're not, they tend to move their students away from a course, move themselves away from it. So we support SPSS, Stata, SAS, R, and Python. We also have some instructors, partner instructors at different universities using things like JUMP or StatCrunch. So really any kind of tool. We have someone at Muskingum University in Ohio that exclusively uses Excel. But we're, as long as you're using software, we're supportive of it. The first tool that I want to mention that's incredibly helpful, and not just in the course, but students take this with them after the course and pull it back out, not just when they take other courses, but when they go out into the workforce as well. We have this document that's about 15 pages long, I call the translation code, which basically takes you through the vast majority of things you would need to do with data, from data management steps to running inferential tests to building a multivariable linear regression model. And it shows you how to do that in each of the different software packages. So here's just a little excerpt from that particular document. We did that, again, to be practical. We wanted faculty to want to teach this and to want to be involved, and so we couldn't exclude the software that they knew. But an amazing benefit that's come from this is students see, as they're moving through their own software package that they're learning for that particular semester, they see every step of the way how you would do it in a different platform, and our students are moving so quickly from platform to platform. And Peter covered this a little in the earlier talk, that it's incredibly empowering to teach these kind of coding principles, show students how they're used in one platform, one software package, and another. I found that to be absolutely revolutionary to our students. We used to struggle to get students to really be very competent with one package when they graduated, and now we have, you know, hordes of students who are competent in multiple packages, and not just that, but feel really comfortable and empowered moving from software to software. Another really important tool we have, which again I think it was referred to a bit in the other talks as well, is the idea that getting everybody online and lecturing to them is not that productive. And so we have flipped the classroom. We have a series of videos for SAS, Python, R, SPSS, and Stata. And generally speaking, the videos are quite similar because we cover the same background information if we're talking about analysis of variance or graphing or that sort of thing. But then we also get into the nuts and bolts of how you would do it in a particular software. So I think what's really unique about these videos is that it really integrates the background information. Why are we going to do what we're going to do right now? Why we're going to use this particular tool. It gets into how would we write the code for it. It gets into what does the output look like? How would you interpret that output? So it's very integrated, and I think that's been really helpful. I know some questions have come up about serving large numbers of students, which we do, and so this has been an important piece of this. Instead of having lecture content separate from software, separate from interpretation, separate from, we've integrated this in this series of videos, and yet the videos are really lean and mean, meaning this is not something where it's going to tell your students every single thing they need to know. You may feel they need to know more about more about probability, or you might want to spend more time on box plots or whatever. It's very flexible so that teachers can bring their own experience and expertise and what they think is valuable, but this is a great background resource so that students can work more independently, and I think as Peter and Wiegand were saying, come to you with questions as opposed to come to you with, what do I do now? I'm not totally sure. So these video series have been really helpful, and they're relatively short. Each topic is no more than 30 minutes long, so it can be supplemented, it can stand on its own, but what we find is that it tells students everything they need to know to get going. And as has been talked about previously too, the learning is all in the doing. And so getting them to the point where they can jump in and work on things is really what we want to do with these. And these are all on my YouTube site. I'll share some links as well. Now again, we're super agnostic, but as we try to disseminate this model to other schools, one of the sort of bottlenecks we found is that while maybe psychology professors and sociology professors, biology professors may already know a particular statistical software, not all mathematics instructors or statistics instructors necessarily have been using that in their course. And so and so if someone uses a package, we tell them use that one. If they say, well, I don't use any, what would you recommend? Obviously, we're recommending either free, we're recommending free approaches, right? Things that students can use at home, online, no matter what kind of computer they have, no matter what kind of technology they have. And so one thing we have been supporting is SAS Studio, which is the complete SAS package, but it's online in the cloud. Students who have only a Chromebook, so something they can't even download something onto, can have the kind of powerful computing power that, people in industry have as well. And so this has been just an incredible tool. It's also nice because it's a third-party provider, so we don't have issues of, oh no, the technology went down, who's going to come fix it kind of thing, or oh, my computer doesn't support this, or whatever. We've sort of dispensed with that by going into the cloud. So for many faculty who say, well, I don't know what to use, we've been trying to either support SAS Studio, or some of our instructors come to us and say, I've heard R is really important to use. Can you teach me how to do that? So again, we're quite agnostic. Another tool we've used is this, what I'll call an eBook, basically. It's really just a container for all of the different resources, a container for the translation code, a container for the videos. It's a book in the sense that it's got some text in it, but the text really just sort of reviews where we've gone, where we've been, and where we're going, and then you can link out to what videos you need and what resources you need. What we found was to send people to the videos, oh, let me tell you more about the model, go watch the videos, was kind of weird. And that if you're gonna start anywhere to understand the model, this is a really good place to start. This is also made in iBook Author, so it can be changed. We have a lot of faculty downloading it and making it their own book and adding things that they think are important. So it's totally modifiable. Another resource we've used is that we put the entire curriculum up on Coursera as a massive open online course, and actually series of small courses. So it's called Data Analysis and Interpretation Specialization. It is totally free. Even if you clicked on that link there and they asked for your credit card, ignore that. You don't have to put your credit card in. These are all free courses. The first two courses are actually what we use in a traditional semester of statistics or even research methods. And then we have two additional shorter courses, one that gets more deeply into regression, and then a fourth that gets into machine learning tools. So random forests, classification regression tree, k-means cluster, lasso regression, those kinds of things. So again, because it's all project-based, students have already selected variables, selected data, and it's just a nice progression in using their own experiences, their own questions to learn these kinds of concepts. So that's the MOOC. Just to give you a sense, when people have been asking about, well, okay, that's fine if I have 20 students because I can really manage 20 students on my own, but I have 60 students or 150 students or whatever. So the way we support that is really through peer mentors. We have students who have already taken the course. We don't do extra training with them. We don't have time and sort of bandwidth for that. So I'm saying that 1 to 6 is a really great ratio for peer mentors, but we often do 1 to 10, whatever the ratio is. This is the key part of that. What we find is that the peer mentors, people who just took the course and are trying to get more experience in computing and statistical inquiry and statistical analyses tools, they actually get more from being a peer mentor than they did from actually taking the original course. So it's this incredible value added where without having to teach more courses, we're actually elevating and really transforming opportunities for our students just by getting them as part of the conversation, having new learners teach newer learners. We also, in the online environment, we have Skyped in-class support. We've had new instructors and we've had like our advanced students just come in and help support that so that the instructors aren't on their own. We've had staffed drop-in hours. We're actually trying this semester, I have a question mark next to it because I don't know how it will go, but we're doing a more asynchronous centralized support through Slack. So we have a Slack channel where students who are using SAS or R or Stata, SPSS can come on and ask questions, and we have instructors there to help answer those. We have lots of different instructors using that. If you're interested in hearing more from instructors and what it was like to transition to online, this link here is a YouTube video where instructors are talking about what that transition was like back in March when they had to go online. But I would say it's very similar, I think, to what Peter was talking about. They used the flipped classroom, so the students had videos and materials. The students could come and ask. I think the only addition is that a lot of the instructors also used kind of that peer group so that students could talk to each other about their projects as well and get support from the peer mentors. But there was a lot of emailing, a lot of online support, and then connections throughout the week. So here's a lot of the partners who have been using our materials and or collecting data with us on the model. And then my last thing, and I'm really going to talk quickly because I know I'm out of time here. The last idea I have, we have met a lot of instructors where this is just too much, meaning making their entire class a project is a lot as a first go. And so we've started to create shorter projects. Here's one I created in R, which is data mapping. It's just taking data, and we have data available, and basically creating maps with it. Creating map of the world, looking at diabetes rates or things like that. So we're also trying to just pull out experiences, and I've been taking notes on what other people have said about what they're doing with HTML or LaTeX or whatever, because I think really what I want to do with this kind of digital intro is not just teach them one package for 14 weeks, but give them exposures in some of our breadth and content courses across disciplines so that they get exposure to these kinds of skills. And that's it. If you have any questions, we have a website with about 10 or 15 published papers on this. You're welcome to reach out to me at my email address. And I've really appreciated being included in this and learning from all of you.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. That was a very thought-provoking talk, very interesting. So it has prompted some discussion. So I'll kick off with some questions. I'm assuming we've got a little bit of time.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So really intrigued by this idea of this just-in-time teaching. And there is a question about this. Perhaps for the benefit of participants, you could quickly explain what just-in-time teaching is, and does it support project work? Just reading the question. Where does it sit on the shallow learning and deep learning axes? So I guess, are students just learning it on the surface, or is this a good way of getting them to learn it?
This is definitely a deep dive. One criticism I will be forthright about that some people have had that to me is, I don't care, I'm like, that's fine. When we used to do this with canned exercises, right, where we know what the answer is, everyone's going to get the same answer, they're just going through it, which is actually the way I was taught. I remembered nothing from that experience, and I got nothing out of it. This is very organic. So students in a semester will get exposure to everything, meaning they need to create these data visualizations. They need to run analysis of variance, chi-square test of independence. They need to build a multivariate model, et cetera, et cetera. But because they're working on answering their own question, they get a lot of experience with the tool that they need or the tools that they need. So, once they get into this, let me give you an example. Let's say we get to the point where the two variables they thought were related end up not being statistically associated with one another, and they're devastated. And we say to them, okay, so remember, this is about the population, right? We can infer to the population that these things are not related. But what about population subgroups? Maybe it's related for females, but not related for males. So students will think, oh, of course, yeah. So they have all these new hypotheses that are generated after their original one, and they go down into that. And so they end up running so many more models. They end up asking so many more questions in so many different ways, just exponentially, compared to the way I did it in a more canned exercise. So some people have said, yes, but they only ran one analysis of variance and they ran 50,000 chi-squares or something like that. And my attitude is, well, in the old way, they only ran one of everything. So I think it's wonderful. And it's so exciting as a teacher to have them want me teach them things, right? They want to have a question, they want to answer. So they're asking me. I just feel like I want to cry when they do that, because, it didn't used to feel like that in teaching statistics. They didn't know why they had to learn this. They weren't that excited about it. They never get mad at me or blame me for anything because it was their question, right? If they don't like it or they're not happy, they take ownership of that. Also, everyone around them is happy, which helps elevate them as well.
Fantastic, thank you very much. I know there's another couple of questions in there, so perhaps Lisa, you'd be so kind as to answer those via text, so I can hand it back to Jonathan.